Hello, laboratory leaders. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is video number 2 in a series on energy leadership. Tonight, we're going to talk all about level 1 energy. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and I will pull up the PowerPoint that we'll be talking about tonight. Get it full screen for you. There we go. All right. Here is the objectives that I'll be covering tonight. First, I'll give you a brief overview of energy leadership and the differences between catabolic and anabolic energy. This will be important for those who did not get a chance to tune into the first video, although I highly recommend that you take a moment to go back and watch it, since it is a nice overview of the 7 distinct levels of energy that all of us use throughout each day. Today, however, is all about level 1. You will not only gain a deeper understanding of level 1 energy, but you'll also know how to recognize it in yourself and others, understand how this can impact your success and affect your relationships. I will also provide you with some quick strategies on how to move past level 1 energy and how to minimize the effects of this lower frequency that may surround you. As scientists, we know that energy is everything. It is in every atom that makes up every molecule that forms every substance and creates all that is. Energy can neither be created or destroyed, but can only be transferred and changed. Energy leadership is a process that can have a significant impact in the successful transference of energy, causing a positive physical change both on a personal level and within a system. It is a valuable tool in how we can understand ourselves, the people we work with, and the goals of the organization so we can all be successful and thrive. While I have mentioned that there's 7 levels of energy, these levels are actually comprised of only 2 different types of energy, anabolic and catabolic. What differentiates the levels is that they each contain different percentages of these 2 types. Anabolic energy is constructive, expanding, fueling, healing, and growth-oriented. It helps you move forward and achieve positive, long-term successful results and is useful in leading others in the same direction. Using anabolic energy allows you to have a more complete and conscious view of what is going on around you and to more easily come up with solutions and innovations. I will be sharing what is called an energetic self-perception chart in a minute. And on this chart, anabolic energy begins at level 3 and grows to higher percentages as you move up the chart to levels 4, 5, 6, and 7. Level 7 is 100% anabolic energy. Catabolic energy, on the other hand, is draining, resisting, and contracting energy. While catabolic energy may provide you with an energetic boost to combat what you perceive to be a stressful situation, it is also distracting and acts like a blinder through which you only see a limited view of a situation. Catabolic energy reduces the choices available to you, and when used long-term, it imparts mental, emotional, and physical tolls that are potentially destructive to you and to those around you. Catabolic energy is low-level energy and registers as level 1 and 2 on the energetic self-perception chart. Our energy and how we experience life is determined by our thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and behaviors. Some have a catabolic effect on us. In other words, they bring our energy down and limit our sense of options, while others have an anabolic effect. They elevate our energy and give us access to a sense of freedom, choice, power, and fulfillment. Each and every thought we entertain has an energetic consequence. Over time, catabolic energy injures us, while anabolic energy builds and heals us. While it might seem that catabolic energy is all bad and anabolic is all good, there are actually both good and bad characteristics of each, but the main point is that all levels of energy are very normal. Everyone experiences all 7 levels of energy in any given situation or time frame. There might even be people in your life that trigger certain energy levels, both low or high, or you might be in a situation that causes a change in the level of energy as the experience unfolds. Everyone has a mix of different energies, and at any given point, your level of energy is some combination of these 7 levels. Here is the energetic self-perception chart I mentioned earlier. This is a good visualization of the 7 different levels of energy, and while it is a 2-dimensional picture, I want you to use your imagination and view it as 3 dimensions. Imagine level 1, which is 100% catabolic, as the center of a deep dark hole with layers coming out towards you, getting lighter in color as the levels of energy become higher in their percentage of anabolic energy. The outer ring of energy, level 7, is 100% anabolic. This is a good pictorial description of energy, as people who are experiencing level 1 energy often feel as though they are in a deep dark hole and cannot find their way out. But as we will learn tonight, there is always choice in how we want to interpret situations, and by increasing our amount of anabolic energy, we can become lighter, just like the colors in this chart get lighter, and we can open up our minds and our hearts, just like this chart opens up, to challenge our old patterns of thoughts while creating more positive energy. So today, we're all about level 1. Level 1 energy is 100% catabolic and is associated with victim thinking. When I use the word victim, I'm talking about someone who is at the effect of something. Level 1 energy is often described as a negative distraction that interferes with one's sense of fulfillment, engagement, and can prevent success. A normal energy that we all feel from time to time, level 1 energy is centered around the core thought of not being good enough and can lead to apathetic behavior. When people are experiencing level 1 energy, they feel as though they have a lack of choice or options because they feel helpless in making a difference. This can result in avoidance of situations or difficult issues and trouble making decisions. Some additional core thoughts associated with level 1 energy include self-defeating, self-blame, and self-loathing thoughts, mostly around worthiness and fear. In this low resonating energy, people take things very personally and might imagine that others are out to get them, so they become very self-conscious and make fear-based choices instead of healthy ones. In other words, they play small and keep themselves separate, often feeling that they're trapped in a situation that they can't get out of. So what does cause this level 1 energy? Coaches who have obtained their master's practitioner in energy leadership are experts around the 4 basic areas of energy blocks. Limiting beliefs are those general messages you might have heard every day growing up, such as, money doesn't grow on trees, children should be seen and not heard, or girls can't do math. These messages, while heard when you were young, often follow us into adulthood, preventing us from reaching our full potential. An assumption believes that because something happened in the past, it's going to happen again. Because assumptions involve an experience, they can be felt more strongly than a limiting belief and are usually based in fear. A good example of this might be the first time you ever asked for a raise or asked someone out on a date and were denied. This feeling of rejection might get in your way of ever doing it again. Interpretations are the false judgments or opinions that are very common with people in level 1 energy. These are messages that we tell ourselves when we have experienced disappointment and feel inferior or hopeless. Instead of rose-colored glasses, it is the dark glasses of doubt we wear when we are fearful and angry. My boss just doesn't like me. They don't respect me. They're out to marginalize me and make me look bad. These are felt on a deeply personal level with a personal stake in letting them go. Often holding on to false interpretations feels less risky than challenging them and opening yourself up to greater vulnerability. Gremlins are the biggest energy blocks of them all. This is that tiny voice inside that is always holding you back and whispering, "You are not good enough." Each gremlin is highly personal and deeply rooted inside each of us, carrying an emotional charge that makes us all dread feeling Makes us all dread failing, feeling pain, or being embarrassed. Gremlins, directly associated with feelings of shame, live in the darkness of level 1 energy and can only be dispelled by shining a light and exposing them for what they are not. With core thoughts around worthiness and fear, it is no surprise the negative emotions that are common for people in level 1 energy. But don't forget, we all come here from time to time, and it is perfectly normal. In fact, because our brains are hardwired to fight or flight, the majority of people find themselves experiencing level 1 energy as a default energy when challenged by stress. I do want to take a quick moment to distinguish guilt from shame. If you have not read any of the books written by Brené Brown, I strongly suggest you do. She is a brilliant researcher who studies shame. I think it's important here because while guilt can live in level 1, it is also part of this energy level that can push us into a more positive direction. By understanding what we value in life, guilt can help us feel out of alignment with those values and get us back on track. Let's say your relationship with your mom is very important to you, but she can also kind of drive you crazy from time to time. If you miss that Sunday night call, guilt will make you feel bad about it, and it will nudge you into calling her on Monday with an apology. Shame, on the other hand, is always destructive, and any time spent there can only perpetuate the lower energies. Remember, shame is that gremlin that tries to convince us that we are less than who we really are. How does this look for leaders in level 1? We've probably all had a supervisor like this, the one who was constantly stressed and worked in crisis mode. Maybe even you have found yourself focusing only on the problems instead of looking at solutions. I know myself at times can be absolutely paralyzed when I feel bombarded by too many things to do. I have to force myself to focus, get organized, and find a plan. It is that very frustration that can push me at a level 1 energy. If you work with people or supervise people in level 1 energy, it can be rather frustrating. Trying to encourage people to step up and take responsibility or to follow through and complete their projects can be very challenging. Depending on what's going on within your organization, entire teams can be pulled down to level 1. This is why it is so important as a leader to work with your higher levels of energy to bring your team up to optimal performance. There will be insights on how to do this in future videos. I have had clients tell me, this is just my life. This is how it's always been. How do I know if I'm in level 1 energy? I'm sure you've heard the phrase, misery loves company. That is level 1 at its best. If you find yourself often complaining and finding any people who will listen, you are actually creating more level 1 energy in your life. That's right. The more level 1 energy you put out into the universe, the more that request is answered, bringing even more level 1 energy. Eventually, people start to turn away. You might even sense their discomfort, which increases your feelings of self-doubt and worry. This vicious cycle needs to break, and often people just get sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Level 1 energy is usually pretty easy to see in others, particularly if you normally resonate at higher levels of energy, which means you're normally an upbeat and engaged person. People at higher frequencies often avoid people in level 1 energy because you can just feel it bring you down. I can even sense different levels of energies in stores I shop, or maybe your organization resonates at level 1. I certainly hope not. So while level 1 energy seems all bad, it actually isn't. As mentioned previously, level 1 energy is perfectly normal for all of us to visit from time to time. The important thing to remember is to be a visitor only, not to pack your bags and move in. How much time we spend in level 1 energy depends upon our stress, resiliency, and our ability to bounce back from difficult situations. This ability to bounce is directly related to our understanding of the higher levels of energy and how we can train our thoughts to think differently. Practicing mindfulness Even spending 3 to 5 minutes in your busy day to quiet your mind and focus can have a profound impact on quieting the inner voice that tells us to think small. Many times, all it takes is to ask ourselves, what am I supposed to learn here? One of the best things I had a friend tell me once was, when you find yourself in a deep hole, for heaven's sakes, quit digging. The way out of level 1 energy is just as personal as how we got there in the first place. But the easiest way I've seen it work is to engage more. The very thing that feels scary is the one thing that can work wonders. Remember, you have a choice. Fear can stand for fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. This is one of my favorite Nelson Mandela quotes. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So you see, we can't know the light unless we experience the dark. Courage is not developed by being happy every day, but it is through the survival of difficulties and the experience of adversity that makes us all courageous and full. So what energy will you choose as you approach life, your work, your relationships, and how will you react to your next stressful situation? Even taking a brief moment to remember this presentation can make an impactful change in your ability to choose. Thank you for your time tonight. The next video will take a deep dive into level 2 energy, conflict, with some proven strategies on how to use level 2 energy to your advantage and how to avoid the pitfalls of this mostly catabolic energy. Stay tuned, and best wishes for continued success in your leadership journey. Good night. Thank you for joining.